Hey everybody, this is Bandor, and welcome back to part 7 of our series of building a medieval tavern bar for Second Life using Blender and Substance Painter. I had something planned for part 7, but I screwed it up. I was going to go in and use sculpture mode and add a bunch of geometry to it, and then put some dents, some scratches, some dings in, make the boards not so parallel, add some surface deformations, but I screwed it up and I lost my mesh and I hadn't been saving. So word of warning is make sure you save and save often, and anytime you make a major change, save before you do it so you can revert back to it. So I couldn't do that, so I had to revert back to my DAE model, so I had to import that back in, and it changed the geometry when it did that, so I can't edit it as well as I could before. So I can't go back and show you the technique for doing that on this mesh, but I can show you on a cube. So let's just do that. I'll build a cube and show you what I'm talking about. So we had a cube here. Let's move it over here. All right. So we're going to take this cube, and those faces are, there's one face per side, right? So that's not enough geometry to work with. If I went in and tried to do this technique, it would move just those few number of vertexes that we have. So what I want to do is, you can do this by adding edge loops, or you can do it using the subdivide modifier. So when you're dealing with something like this, the subdivide modifier, it's going to put it on all the faces. So watch what happens. So if I subdivide it, use simple, and then let's do it like 3 levels. You can't see anything. If I go back in here, you still can't see it. So if I apply it, now you can see it. So 3 is, it's not really enough. You can get some deformation, some detail here, but it's not quite enough. So let's add one more. Just one, simple. Apply it. Now when we go in, we have a lot more geometry to work with. Now, the shortcoming of that is it does it to all sides, right? So let's say I had this, and I scaled it down on the x-axis so that it's really skinny. Now what happens to my geometry? It's no longer uniform. So it has really, really skinny ones here and squares here, which is, I don't want that. So that's why I don't use this. I don't use that modifier when I do this. I do it manually by adding edge loops. So let's show you how to do that. So we're going to do the same thing. Cube, drag it over here. All right, go in, edge mode. I'm going to add edge loops. So I do like, I don't know what that means. So you can scroll up and do it, or you can just put a number like 10. Oops. If you move your mouse when it first puts the edge loops in, they will move where they're at. To go back, just hit the right mouse button. I'll show you. So do it on this side, put 10, and then I accidentally move the mouse and they go somewhere, right? Just hit the right mouse button and it cancels it, and then I can do it again. 10, and then just left click. So I have 10 that way, 10 this way, 10 this way. I need 10 more over here. So let's go over here. Actually, let's not. Let's scale this down like I was talking about. So let's scale on the X down to, hello, maybe that. So now when I look at it, I only want one edge loop in there. Close enough, right? So here's what you do. You go into vertex mode, and this is the manual method. You could go in here and pick a vertex, hit G, and then we want to go in, which is the x-axis, and we're going to go in. See, it puts a dent, right? And then if you scroll this out, it smooths that dent out and makes it affect more geometry. The more geometry you put in here, the more number of subdivisions. Like if I were to go back and subdivide this one more time, Now I have more geometry. So now when I do that same thing, the GX, it affects it more smoothly, right? It's not so jagged. And then if I do like this, I can get little variations in. You don't want to make big ones. You want to do just subtle little variations like that. Pick another one over here. Maybe come out with this one, or move down. You can move it around however you want. And then let's look at that. It's like a little dimple on there, like a pimple. See? So you now have this little irregularity. And if you put them on the edges, like this, you can go G, Y moves it this way, G, X moves it this way. So now I have, oops, stop that. So now I've created a little chunk or chip. That's what I was going to do to these boards over here. I was going to go in and add some chips in some of these edges, maybe put some dents in here, because another way you can do a dent is like this. You can pick multiple in a chain. Like that, and then do G, X in, like that. So now you have like a scar, right? Again, it's not very precise because we don't have a lot of geometry, but you don't need it to be that precise. Anyway, so that's what you could do. You could do that to this, and it makes it look more medieval. This looks very manufactured, but I don't care. So now we're going to move on with the next step, which is painting this bad boy. So here we are back in Substance Painter. I already baked the mesh, so it looks good. Let's start applying some materials. So I'm going to use some smart materials on this. For the wood, I really like that one we looked at earlier, which was this one here. But I also like this one. It's called chest, wooden chest, stylized. So let's apply it here. Doesn't that look good? Looks very medieval. And then for the metal, I want some kind of like steel. This is painted steel. If you hover over it, it gives you an example. So it's painted steel. It's got like black paint on it, and the black paint's rubbing off on the edges. So I can show you what that looks like. It just doesn't look very medieval to me. It looks too modern. So go to layers and turn that back off. So then how about like one of these? Steel gun matte, steel gun painted, steel gun. This is steel medieval stylized. Let's try it. All right, that's what it looks like. What light do I have selected? Yeah, I have the right one. All right, that looks pretty good. That metal looks all right, right? And then for the top of the bar, I can do the same thing again. So I'm gonna put the same wood on top of that we did here. And this is where the grain direction is important. And so that's why when we did our UV map, I rotated it 90 degrees, was so that the grain follows the length of the wood, and it looks like that. So here we have, with just a few simple clicks, I dragged the chest wood on these two pieces, and I dragged that metal here. Now we just go back up and we're going to export this textures. Make sure it's the Second Life 16 bits, default color, background color, and then now you want to do the opposite. We don't need the AO anymore. We actually want these three because we're going to go import them into Second Life. So turn AO off, turn these three on. We don't need the floor because we already have it. And then just hit export. It's going to generate 3 different files for each one of those, so we should have 9 files. And then when I go back over here to Second Life, and then I'm using the controls for Blender in Second Life, which doesn't work. Okay, we're going to upload those 9 files, bulk. Bar metal normal, bar metal spec, bar metal, bar top, this one, bar metal, bar. That's 9, right? Yep, that's 9. Upload. Right, they're here, so now I'm going to go ahead and edit this. Edit the part, so let's do the top first. So I have the top selected, right? And then go to the texture tab and pick the diffuse texture, and then we go find bar top diffuse, drag it there. Then you go to the bumpiness normal and you find bar top normal. There it is, and you drag that there. And then find bar top specular, which is here, and drag it there. Go back to texture. Let's do the boards now. So we're going to find bar boards diffuse. Then the normal bar boards normal. And then bar boards specular. And then we'll do the metal, which is metal diffuse. Metal normal. Metal normal. Where's metal normal? Normal. And specular. Now, to me, that does not look like what it did in here. It looks more like that reflection part. So I don't know why it did that. It could be the template that I'm using. I'll try a different metal. I'm just going to do the metal. Yeah, see, it looks right there. It's not black. You can tell. Phew. Okay. I think it might have screwed up. Sometimes when you export, it doesn't export. I can try that one again and see what it looks like. Let's go back and do it again. Because yeah, sometimes I get this thing where one of the files is corrupted or it doesn't look right. So let's try that. This one again. File, export textures, export. Try importing it again. Build, upload, bulk. What does it look like? Yeah, so okay, it looks like this is what it's supposed to look like. Okay. All right, that makes me feel better. So it was just a corrupt file. That happens a lot with Substance Painter when you export. Sometimes the I only see it happen on the diffuse. I've never seen it happen on anything else, but then maybe I just didn't notice that sometimes the diffuses don't come out right. So if you get one that looks weird, just export again. All right, so there we have that, and let me go ahead and make sure that we have the right normal, bar metal, normal, and specular applied. And there you go. That's my shadow in the way. Right? So there we have the finished Medieval Tavern Bar. I think it turned out pretty damn good. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So, yeah, it's kind of crisp and clean and pristine looking, right? Because the mesh wasn't, we didn't really beat up the mesh at all. So, yeah, it does kind of look that way. But what happens is, because you have the AOs and because you use Substance Painter to create these textures, it still doesn't look bad. It looks really, really, really good. If you had done this other ways, older ways, this would have come out really, really flat looking, and it wouldn't give you the same kind of a feel. So even though it was pristine and crisp and clean and clear, it still comes out looking very medieval and very old. Now, there's things you can do. So I'll show you this. So you can go in here in Substance Painter and say, okay, well, yeah, it does look like that, but I want it to look a little dirtier. So there's things you can add, like especially let's look at the wood. Let's go to the boards. Okay. So this is the wood that I have on here, right? But you can go in here and find this thing called like dust or dirt, and you drag it here above. Remember I said it's top down, right? So it's like a stack. So let's drop that on top of the stack. And now the wood looks dirty and grungy. Let's do the same thing for the metal. And we're going to drag that on top of the metal. There you go. There's also one called rust. So if I don't like the dirt one, see, I can turn it right off and turn it back on. And that's what's so cool about Substance Painter. I think there's one in here called rust. Rust. No, that's a different one. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Maybe let's turn the dirt back on. Now, do I want to put that on the top of my, or do I want my bar top to be clean? Maybe put some dust on there instead of dirt. Let's see what happens if I do that. Oh, sorry. Gotta pick the bar top. Now I can let's put dust on top of the bar top. See what happens. Get some specks. Put some specks on there. And I think I can change the color of that dust. Yeah, so the dust is kind of yellow. I could go in here and I could pick that and I could change it and make it more brown. You don't want it to be the same color as the wood because then it doesn't show up. So you can play around with it. And then, so that's what that does. And then all you got to do is just go back over here and export again. Oops. Export. We're going to export the boards, the top, the metal, and export. Run back into Second Life. Let's copy that. I want to make a copy of it. And then we're going to upload those. Build, upload, bulk. And then pick them again. 9. And you need all of them. You need all the materials because it's not just the diffuse. Otherwise, it won't look 3D. It'll just look like flat. So let's edit this. Edit the top. hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Is that it? Bar top. Where's diff part top diffuse? There it is. Bar top diffuse. Bar top normal. Bar top specular. Bar boards. Diffuse. No, am I getting the wrong ones? Right there. I did get the wrong ones. I may not have grabbed the right. Come on. Texture. Texture. Oh, shit. Second Life, you're so slow sometimes. Texture. Barboards diffuse. Barboards normal. Barboards. Specular. Bar top. Let's start with bar top. Diffuse. Bar top normal. Bar top specular. And then I'll do the metal. Bar metal. Diffuse. Didn't change. Because I grabbed the wrong one. Bar metal. Bar metal normal. Bar metal specular. Right, and so now it looks like an old beat up bar. Could have done more to the top because it doesn't really show much. But anyway, there's the clean one. There's the dirty one. And the only thing was, I dragged one little thing, the dirt texture thing, I dragged that in here, right? I just dragged that onto here, and now the output is so wildly different. And that's what you can do. You can drag different woods, you can drag different metals, you can do all different kinds of things inside Substance Painter, then export it, pull it in, and drop it on your object in Second Life. And it gives it so much more character and makes it so much richer and so much more rewarding and more realistic. Anyway, that concludes our multi-part exploration of how to build a medieval tavern bar in Blender using Substance Painter for Second Life, for use in Second Life. So I hope that was a good series for you guys. I'm not a professional video maker. I'm not an absolute expert in any of this stuff. It's just how I do things and the results that I get from doing it. I'm pleased with. So anyway, let me know your feedback. Let me know what you think. If you have some improvements or some better ways of doing things, let me know that too, because I'm always learning. Until then, I will see you guys next time. Have a great time, and let me know what you think.